So there's a story about James Fisher, the orange farmer.
Yes. I was sitting here thinking, where did I hear this story? It might have been my grandmother, but it's more likely that I heard it from an elderly neighbor who lived north of me on South Ivy. He was renting one of the apartments there. The house had been built by James Fisher's daughter, Jane Fisher Jackson, and then in the 30s had been converted into apartments. And this man rented one of the apartments in the former single-family residence, and so because he was on my side, I'd say hello to him, we'd converse. Well, one day he shared a story. He had worked for or knew James Fisher because he was probably, the man there, I'd guess he was in his 70s or 80s at that point, which means he was probably born sometime in the mid-1880s. He apparently did a lot of work in the orange groves in the area. And he told me about James Fisher. He said that James Fisher apparently liked a little nip from time to time. And he apparently had been celebrating either New Year's Eve or New Year's Day with a celebratory sip. And he got the notion it might be fun to go for a swim on New Year's Day. So he walked up to the reservoir, got out on the diving board, took a mighty dive, and remembered too late that he'd been irrigating heavily and he'd almost completely drained the reservoir. So he completed his dive and broke both his wrists. And I would say he probably sobered up in a hurry. But that was James Fisher, New Year's Day swim, and oops!